Welcome back to the Better You channel, where each book is not merely knowledge, but a doorway to a new world, a place where we can have a dialogue with our own soul. Have you ever noticed how the negative moments in life seem to stick to us more strongly than the positive ones? Think about it. A kind compliment from a colleague can brighten your day, but that happiness usually fades after just a few hours. On the other hand, a single criticism, one negative remark, can weigh on your mind for an entire week, sometimes even longer. Or imagine this. You're having a good day. You enjoyed your morning coffee, finished your tasks on time, and then, out of nowhere, someone cuts you off in traffic, or a small annoyance happens. Instantly, your mood drops. That irritation lingers, overshadowing everything good that came before. Strange, isn't it? Why does our brain seem to hold on so tightly to sadness, fear, or worry, while letting happy moments slip away so quickly? Does that mean we're born fragile, destined to be this way? The truth is, it's not just your personal experience. Science has proven that our brains are wired this way. After thousands of years of evolution, the human brain has been programmed to be more sensitive to threats. Long ago, when life was full of danger, remembering signs of risk, like the roar of a predator, was what kept our ancestors alive. But today, this very sensitivity has become a trap, keeping us from fully enjoying the happiness that's right in front of us. And this is where the book Hardwiring Happiness by Rick Hanson becomes such a powerful guide. This isn't just another book that talks about happiness in vague, feel-good terms. It's a fascinating work of neuroscience that explains why our minds keep clinging to the negative, and more importantly, how we can gently reprogram our own brains to change that. In this video, we'll explore together how the brain gets stuck in cycles of negativity, why happiness is not just a fleeting feeling, but a real skill you can train, and most importantly, a simple yet powerful method that helps you turn positivity into a daily habit, so life feels lighter, calmer, and more fulfilling. So if you've ever felt trapped in worry, weighed down by negative thoughts, or found yourself struggling to feel truly happy, what Rick Hanson shares in this book might just change the way you see yourself, and the way you experience life. To truly understand why Hardwiring Happiness is such a special book, we first need to know a little about its author, Rick Hanson. He is not only a clinical psychologist, but also one of the world's leading experts in the field of positive neuroscience. For decades, Rick Hanson has devoted his career to studying how the brain stores memories, especially negative ones, and discovering methods that help people live happier, more fulfilling lives. What makes his work so engaging is that he doesn't write in a dry, purely theoretical way. Instead, he blends neuroscience, psychology, and even Eastern philosophy, particularly the practice of mindfulness, to create guidance that is both scientifically grounded and easy to apply in everyday life. That's why his books never feel heavy or abstract. On the contrary, they are relatable, practical, and deeply human. The background of this book is also worth noting. In today's world, we are surrounded by stress from every direction: work pressure, financial worries, constant comparison on social media, and the endless stream of negative news. We often lose sight of the small joys right in front of us, simply because the brain is wired to prioritize bad experiences. Rick Hanson saw this pattern and asked a profound question. How can people learn to be sustainably happy, no matter what environment they live in? The answer is Hardwiring Happiness. In this book, Rick Hanson explains that happiness is not some gift that falls from the sky, nor is it a distant dream. Instead, it can be reprogrammed into the brain, much like updating the software on a smartphone. If you know how, you can gradually turn positivity into your brain's natural reflex. It is this unique blend of modern science and a deep understanding of the human spirit that makes the book so powerful. It doesn't promise instant transformation overnight, but it does give you a clear map, step by step, to build real and lasting happiness for yourself. One of the most important discoveries highlighted in Hardwiring Happiness is this. Our human brain carries what scientists call a negative bias. It may sound like an academic term, but in reality, it's something we all experience every single day. What does it mean? Simply put, our brain is naturally wired to remember, hold on to, and react more strongly to negative experiences than to positive ones. If you pay attention, you'll see this in your own life. You might receive 10 compliments in a single day, but just one criticism is enough to keep you awake at night. Or maybe you're having a perfectly fine day, you finish your work on time. You enjoy your morning coffee, but then someone cuts you off in traffic. And suddenly your mood crashes. That irritation lingers, while the good moments fade away almost instantly. Why does this happen? Rick Hanson explains that it goes all the way back to our ancient ancestors. They lived in an environment full of danger, wild animals, hunger, disease, constant threats from enemies, and in order to survive, the brain had to prioritize negative signals. A strange rustle in the bushes could mean a predator. Ignoring it might cost you your life. Meanwhile, forgetting a good meal or a sunny day was never a threat to survival. Over thousands of years, the human brain became programmed to focus more on what's bad. Fear, pain, failure, hurtful emotions. All of these carve deep marks in our memory. But joy, success, and positive emotions? They tend to fade quickly, like water slipping through our fingers. This is why, even in modern life, it's so easy to fall into a spiral of negativity. No matter how many good things we have, just a few bad experiences are enough to overshadow them all. But here's the good news, and this is the heart of the book. The brain is not fixed. It's more like a living garden, one that can be cared for, reshaped, and replanted. Scientists call this ability neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to change its structure and connections based on our experiences. In other words, the brain can relearn, rewire, and create entirely new pathways. And if you know how, you can turn even the smallest positive experiences, a hug, a smile, a quiet moment with a cup of tea, into memories that sink deep into your nervous system. Little by little, these moments become the solid ground on which your happiness grows. Rick Hanson emphasizes a very powerful truth. Happiness doesn't come from trying to change the whole world around you. Because the world will always be full of things you can't control, work stress, the weather, other people's thoughts and behaviors. If you wait for all of that to change, you'll be waiting forever. Real happiness comes from changing the way your brain receives and stores experiences. When you learn to pause and fully take in positive moments, hold onto them a little longer, and let them sink into memory, you are slowly reprogramming your own brain. And in that process, you're not only breaking free from the spiral of negativity that evolution has left behind, but also building a strong foundation for your inner life. A foundation where happiness isn't fleeting anymore, it becomes a habit, a nature, a source of inner strength that stays with you for the rest of your life. That is the core message of Hardwiring Happiness. You truly can reprogram your brain for greater happiness through simple, everyday practices. When reading Hardwiring Happiness, there was one point Rick Hanson made that really stayed with me. He said that most of us, no matter our age or background, so easily fall into the traps of negative thinking. Think about it. Have you ever lain awake at night, unable to sleep, just because of one small mistake at work? Or replayed in your head for days a careless comment you made that hurt someone? Sometimes, even things that happened years ago can still sting the moment we remember them, as if they just happened yesterday. Science explains this very clearly. Our brain has what's called a negative bias. It holds onto pain 3 times more strongly than it does joy. That means, if today you received 3 compliments and 1 criticism, what's the one thing you're most likely to remember when you go to bed? Yes, the criticism. It loops in your head, over and over again, trapping you in a cycle that's hard to escape. And because of this imbalance, many people easily slip into stress, anxiety, even depression. Rick Hanson calls this the trick of the brain, a negative trap that feels impossible to break without the right tools. But here's the good news. In his book, Rick Hanson offers us a powerful key to unlock that trap. It's called the HEAL method, and it's the part that many readers love most. HEAL is an acronym for 4 simple steps: have, enrich, absorb, link. It may sound a bit technical at first, but in truth, it's deeply practical and beautifully simple. The first step is have. Allow yourself to notice and truly experience a positive moment. No matter how small, it could be a flower blooming by the roadside, a kind word from a friend, or just the cool breeze coming through your window. Then comes enrich. Make that moment richer. Instead of letting it pass by, pause for a bit. Pay attention to the feelings and the details. For example, when someone smiles at you, don't just nod and move on. Take a second to really feel the warmth in their eyes and in that smile. The third step is absorb. This one is crucial. Breathe deeply, relax, and let the positive feelings sink into you. It's like sitting in the morning sun, not rushing away, but allowing your body to soak in its warmth. And finally, link. Connect this new positive experience with an old negative memory. Over time, the weight of the old pain begins to fade, replaced by a sense of peace and ease. This is how the brain starts building new pathways toward happiness. What I love most about HEAL is its simplicity. You don't need any special tools. You don't need hours of practice. In fact, just 10 to 20 seconds of focus on a positive experience is enough to begin rewiring your brain. And here's the most exciting part: it's practical. You can apply it immediately. In your everyday life, when you're enjoying a delicious meal, pause for a moment, put down your phone, and really savor the taste, the warmth of being at the table. When someone encourages you, give yourself time to let that kindness sink in, instead of brushing it off with a quick smile. Rick Hanson calls this planting seeds of happiness. Each seed may be tiny, but if you plant just a few every day, slowly, a whole garden of positivity will begin to bloom in your mind. The most important message I took away from Hardwiring Happiness, and the one I believe you'll find most powerful, is this: to become happier, you don't need to change your whole life. You don't need to move to a new city, switch careers, or take a trip around the world. All you really need, sometimes, is to change the way your brain receives, processes, and stores your everyday experiences. We often tie happiness to big achievements, owning a dream house, having a stable career, finding perfect love, or taking an expensive vacation. But Rick Hanson reveals a surprising truth. Real happiness doesn't come from those grand milestones. It comes from your ability to notice and deepen the smallest moments of daily life. A delicious meal, a breezy afternoon, a loving glance from someone you care about. Each of these can become the raw material for building peace in your mind. The challenge is that our brains are wired to overlook these things too quickly, like swiping past a screen on your phone. If you don't hold onto them, they slip away, and once again, your brain clings more tightly to the negative instead. Think of happiness like exercise. It's not a gift that falls from the sky, it's a skill. And skills can be trained. Just as muscles grow stronger with practice, the mind grows steadier when we train it not to be swept away by negativity. Each time you pause, each time you let a small joy sink in, you're giving your brain a gentle workout. Over time, after hundreds, even thousands of these mini exercises, your brain begins to rewire itself. It builds new connections that naturally lead you toward calm, balance, and joy. You can imagine each day as your own mental gym. The beauty is, you don't need fancy machines or a personal trainer. All it takes is a few seconds of attention to life's simple moments. The sweetness of a fruit, the comfort of a breeze in your hair, or the deep relief of lying down after a long day. If you let those moments sink in, they become nourishment for your brain. Bit by bit, they feed your sense of happiness. Of course, just like in the gym, you can't expect results after one day, 1 week, or even 1 month. Happiness is a process. It grows through patience and steady practice. But if you keep showing up, if you lift a few small weights for your spirit each day, you will notice the change. Your brain will feel safer, less threatened, less caught in negativity, and that becomes the solid foundation for a life that feels lighter, calmer, and truly happy. What struck me most when reading Hardwiring Happiness was its surprising simplicity. Rick Hanson doesn't overwhelm readers with endless pages of academic theory or load them with concepts that feel out of reach. Instead, he offers a method that is short, clear, memorable, and incredibly easy to apply in daily life. That method is HEAL. What I love most is that this book doesn't ask you to change the entire world around you. Nor does it promise something grand or unrealistic. It simply invites you to return to the present moment, to the small, ordinary experiences that seem simple, yet hold the power to reshape your brain. With just a few seconds of attention, you can turn a hug, a smile, or a warm meal into a building block for long-lasting happiness in your mind. For me, the greatest value of this book lies in how it helps us escape the negative loop. A loop wired deep into the human brain over millions of years of evolution. You don't need hours of meditation. You don't need to master complicated psychological techniques. You don't even need modern tools. All you need is patience, a little awareness, and the small daily habit of noticing and nurturing the positive. Right after finishing the book, I tried applying the HEAL method in the simplest of moments. A family member smiled at me, and instead of just smiling back casually, I paused for a few seconds, took a breath, and really allowed myself to feel the warmth in that look and that smile. What surprised me was how quickly my mind felt lighter, calmer, more at peace. It wasn't the kind of explosive happiness you get from a big achievement. It was gentle, like a quiet current of warm energy flowing inward. That is why I believe Hardwiring Happiness is a book anyone can put into practice immediately, even if you've never studied psychology or neuroscience before. It's approachable, easy to practice, and most importantly, it works. From the very first small steps. If I had to sum up the message of Hardwiring Happiness in just one sentence, it would be this: the brain can learn happiness. We are not forever trapped in negative memories. We are not permanently defined by our pains or failures. On the contrary, we can retrain the brain to hold on to joy, gratitude, and peace. And the best part is, anyone can do it. You don't have to wait until you have more money, or until life feels more stable. You can begin today, right now, with a smile for someone, with a heartfelt thank you, or simply by letting a warm moment sink deeply into your heart. As Rick Hanson reminds us, happiness is not something you wait for from the outside. It's something you can build from within. And that is also the message I want to leave with you: simple, yet deeply powerful. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to better you, so you won't miss other meaningful book reviews. And I'd like to leave you with a small question. Have you ever tried to reprogram your brain to hold on to a positive feeling? Share your story in the comments below. Who knows, your experience might become the inspiration someone else needs on their journey toward happiness.